In this video, I'm going to use pages again to make a pattern like this. I was thinking about the wallpaper again, but again, this is, there's various different ways you can use this. So I'm just going to show you a couple of things that you already know. Using some simple shapes, I've made up these patterns. So I've just used a few, like the circle and the cone, and then some of the ornament shapes. And what I'm doing is I'm grouping them. Oh, I'll show you that in a wee second. But anyway, this way you can, with the grouping thing I'm going to show you, you can repeat things quite well. So you can create a bit of repetition and pattern, which is quite nice. And then what I'm going to do is screenshot what I've done and then take it into a website called Pixlr, I think. We'll see it in a wee second, and it's pretty easy to use, and you can warp the image that way. So I'm going to warp it as well. So here's me really slowly putting together the kind of vertical part of this pattern. Well, I'm not. I'm just making up a different one when I do this, actually. There we go. All right. Okay, I forgot to show you this. So, when you select a shape, the wee box with the wee dots comes around it, and that means it's selected. If you select two shapes at the one time, it gives you the option to group them. So when you group them, that means you can move them about together. Now, I don't think you can change colours and things after while they're grouped, but what you can do is move them around and together. Now, this guy here, it took me ages to rotate him, so we're going to be watching me mess about with this and not manage to rotate this guy. And I also look for a rotate option up in the paintbrush menu up there, but couldn't see one. So while I'm doing that anyway, this group thing, it means then you can make these complex shapes and repeat them. You can copy and then paste them and move them around and things. So very good for graphics, because repetition is a pretty good tool to use in your poster. So that's me doing things that I don't even properly understand what I'm doing. So then eventually I decide, I know what I need to do. I need to make it bigger if I want to be able to rotate it. So any minute now the penny drops. Oh, not this in though. Oh yeah, I've spent a little while doing this as well. Come on. There we are. There we are. We're not out of the woods yet. Okay, so at this point I join them on here, try to rotate them again, end up messing up and moving that guy by mistake, reminding myself that I've not grouped him, so check it out. I now need to select both him and the top shape, and then I press group at the right hand side, and then him in the bottom shape, and then that's all three of those different separate bits are now grouped together as one. And if I join the ornament on, and then I'm just going to say I'm happy with that. Oh no, so geez, perfectionist at work. There we go, that'll do. So stick that in there, and then I copied it and pasted it, and then I flipped it, and then, oh, here we are. This is happening a bit faster this time. And there we go, a bit of symmetry. People love symmetry. That's a good thing to have. Offset symmetry even better, I think. So there we go. So that's me now grouping all those things together. And that's now just one thing I can move around. And then what we can do then is I can copy that and I can paste it. And then I can paste it again, except this time flip it up at the top. So flip it vertically. Stick it in there, and there you go. You got the beginnings of something. So very quick to make things like that. So here's one I did earlier. I've not read the yellow wallpaper. I know very little about it. I read a little bit about it. And this wallpaper, as it represents, somebody's caught behind it anyway, so I don't know what the description of the wallpaper is like. But this looked a bit like a sort of fence or something. I was thinking that's why I made the pattern like that. It looked like it was a sort of dividing things. And then the iPad sort of stalled for a wee bit here, but anyway, I'm copying and pasting that. And then I'm just grouping those three things that I made together so that I can just move them as a oneer, so I can hold on to that in case I want to use it for something. And then I'm repeating those and then grouping the things together. So obviously you can make that as big as you like. And it's a really nice, fast, easy way to play around with pattern. So there, I'm going for something austere, old-fashioned kind of a pattern there. Not a fun one. You know, you could also do layers of this because you can change the opacity of things. So I could take a different ornament and repeat it and put it on top of that and make a more complex pattern. And remember that layering up things and using the opacity, adjusting opacity can get you some brilliant effects. So I'm just giving it a background colour, except I'm not, instead of putting it in the background, I'm just giving it a sort of, I'm actually decided to go for the wheel and do this kind of yellowy thing and then play about. I think that's the lightness and the saturation that you're messing about with there, so which is taking me a little while to figure out. There we go, you've cracked it. And then do bright. There we go. Ooh. And then back to the paintbrush you got to select the shape. Back to paintbrush and then opacity down. Something else to play around with. And remember, that shape can obviously be like, like I showed in another video, taken into explain everything, and you can rub into it and scratch into it and things like that. And I think going from program to program is something that could make your work quite interesting. So that's what I'm about to do here. So I've screenshotted that and now I'm cropping it. And I'm then going to save it in my photos. Which means I can go on to Safari. And here's Pixlr. And that's what I was working on before. I can show you that. I'll put an image of that somewhere. So anyway, I've just gone to create a new document. The wee picture that indicates a picture. I've pressed browse, taken us to my photos, selected it, pressed use. I've just gone add to current. So that's put a new layer onto this image here. At the side, you've got all these wee round icons that represent things. So those two wee wavy lines, that is how you warp it or liquefy it. So I've selected that swirly thing. And so there's a little cursor on that if you move it around and you play with all these wee little sliders here, the size, the strength and the density. I think I decided those were too intense. So at the bottom there's an undo button. So I wanted to get a bigger cursor, bigger area warped at the one time. But a slightly more subtle warp, which actually was quite good, and then it went bananas. But I think I just went with it there. Anyway, so I've done this quite quickly, but it's something good to mess around with. I like this. I thought what this did was start making this look quite 3D, and also because I was thinking this book seems to be quite psychological. This, I don't know if I think the warp thing suggests some psychological. Okay, so decided to save the image. I'm choosing JPEG. I'm giving it a title, so warped wallpaper. And then underneath that, I've got 3 different file types I can choose. So I'm choosing to the left, Hot Wallpaper 1, sorry, assuming because I'm going to make more probably. JPEG. So you want to download it, press download. And then there's a wee thing that says close at the bottom. So brilliant, that's downloaded. So I'm going to go back onto Pages. Oh no, I'm not. I'm going to go to my downloads. So go to your files, downloads, find it. There it is there, warped wallpaper one. Open it. Top right hand corner, press the little icon, do save image. And that's it then in your photos and a bit more accessible for you. If, for example, that does look 3D. That's really cool. So, decided to take it a bit further. So that image is saved. So I then went back into Pages, slowly but surely, and it opened a new page, I think. Yeah. And I put the warped image, pasted it on, and then I pasted it on top of that again, did the same thing again. And then, while that selected the new image, I went to Paintbrush and I flipped it. I went to Arrange and I flipped it vertically. Then I went to Style and took the opacity down. And then I stuck it back on top. Now, if you play about with colour and do that, and when you're thinking of doing a 3D thing, that, you could... You're seeing how this is creating depth, so that combines with the use of the green and the red, creates that 3D effect. Could be very cool, very cool. So there we go, and then cropping that, because remember, always keep doing that, keep cropping and saving things. When you're screenshotting them, cropping and saving them. That's a really good way to have lots and lots of development work. Right, I hope you found that helpful and that gives you something to experiment with. Good luck, everyone.